It's over 9,000. This has been one of the most requested openings to react to, so today we're going to be checking out all of the Dragon Ball openings. This will be including Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball Z Kai, Dragon Ball Super, and Super Dragon Ball Heroes, the web series show, if I'm not mistaken. As always, you can check out the uncensored version of today's video over on my Patreon. And I'm almost halfway through the first season of Vinland Saga now, and I'm uploading all of those episode reactions over on Patreon as well. Link for that will be down in the description if you're interested. As we are approaching 3,000 subscribers soon, I want to say a very special thank you to each and every single one of you who I've got to meet along the way so far. And if you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and smash that subscribe button and hit the like as well. And I hope you enjoyed today's video. It's time for some Dragon Ball. Full disclosure before we hop into the Dragon Ball opening here to start us off. I did not watch this growing up, surprisingly. This seems like something I would have seen. However, I didn't. I know who Goku is, and I think that is about all the extent of my Dragon Ball knowledge. So be gentle with me down in the comments on this one. This is the original Dragon Ball, which debuted in 1986. Let's start it, see what it's about. I don't think I've ever seen this. Surprisingly. What was that? I think the thing this cloud he rides, I'm pretty sure it has a name. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know down in the comments. Oh, what was his name? Master something. I don't remember. Got the green dragon there. Oh, interesting. There's like English incorporated in it. It's a pretty catchy song, too. I feel like I don't recognize a lot of the characters. Like, I think to some extent, everyone can at least recognize Dragon Ball, even if they haven't seen it. That was pretty good. I liked it. Okay, this is definitely one of the older shows that I've reacted to recently. In fact, it might be one of, if not the oldest show that I've done a dedicated reaction openings video to. What I don't have a good grasp on is what the show is about, or I guess how maybe the dragon, how that's incorporated into the theme of the show. I know there's like these epic fight scenes. I feel like I've seen clips of that here and there. And, you know, as a kid, maybe seeing an episode here or there. That's how I knew. But I think that older guy with the glasses is a master. Maybe it's his master. Not exactly sure, but overall, I really enjoyed the first opening. I can see how it sets a really solid foundation for the show as a whole. And I'm excited to see kind of how it transitions into Dragon Ball Z here with the second opening. Interestingly, I think before researching this reaction video, I wasn't even sure that I knew Dragon Ball was a separate show that existed prior to Dragon Ball Z. And now that I get to watch Dragon Ball Z, I think I'll have probably something closer here to what I remember growing up. Let's go ahead and we'll start opening 2. Yeah, you can already... the screen is wider, too. That's something I'm noticing as well. I think the logo is pretty much the same, though. Apart from the Z, of course. Yeah, this is much more familiar than what I saw in the first Dragon Ball opening. There's the dragon again. Isn't this show pretty long too? Like roughly 1,000 episodes across all the Dragon Ball shows? It's a long time we're watching these two walk. Is that a dinosaur? Oh, what was this dude's name? I recognize his face as well. That was an interesting zoom out right there. That thing is way bigger than I thought it was. I think I like this one more than the first one. Oh, there's the master guy again in the back. Nice. Okay, again, that felt way more familiar to me from what I remember the era that I grew up in of Dragon Ball. The visuals were obviously improved a lot. The song I thought was even a tad bit catchier. Another thing I'd be curious to know is that does Dragon Ball Z take place immediately after the first Dragon Ball? Or maybe it's like a prequel? I'm not actually sure. And same thing goes with like GT and Kai. Maybe this is something I would really love if someone could comment down below. The shows in chronological order. And as a subsequent question to that, if you were to recommend me watching Dragon Ball, should I watch them in order that they originally came out, like we're going to be watching today? Or should I watch them if there is a difference in chronological order in that order? Let me know. Okay, I think we've got one more Dragon Ball Z opening, but we'll go ahead and start, and we'll get a pretty good idea at the beginning, I imagine. The dragon looks exactly the same as the last opening. I wish I... okay, so it is Dragon Ball Z. Gohan? I know that's another name. And Vegeta. Oh my gosh, it's like all... It's so funny how these things are like suppressed in my brain. Except for... I'm going to sound like such a Dragon Ball Z noob. I don't even know for sure if I know who is who. Hey, there's the cloud again. So, I think this is only one of 2 openings for Dragon Ball Z. And I think there was... yeah, 291 episodes of this show. And this was the opening for the last 91 episodes. It's so funny because the thing that always got me about this show that confused me was it seems like there's... and maybe there's a reason behind this in the show. It seems like there's a lot of them that look the same. Who the heck is that? That person does not seem familiar to me. See, like, look at how many of them look very similar. I think there was a little bit less familiarity for me personally with that opening than with the other Dragon Ball Z opening. And I think I would probably favor the first one more too. I think that's often the case with anime fans in general, is that the first opening of a show, more often than not, I've found tends to be the one that people like the most. There's definitely some exceptions to that rule, but I think it's often the one that, you know, contains the most nostalgia for people whenever they see it again. I'm sure there are lots of people out there that liked that second DBZ opening more than the first, but for me, I definitely preferred the first one, not only because it had more familiarity with what I remember Dragon Ball Z being, but I just thought it was like more catchy and more eye-popping in ways that the second one didn't quite pull me in. But overall, both really great openings, and I think both of them were definitely a step up from the original Dragon Ball opening. So again, GT is the 3rd iteration of Dragon Ball, and that's what we're going to be watching right here. Oh, the dragon's red now instead of green. Interesting. Is that purple-haired guy in the Dragon Ball Z openings? You know what's funny? I don't remember this show at all. Like, And this came out after I was born. So I feel like I should recognize it more than Dragon Ball Z. That dude is not wearing clothes. But I don't so far. It seems more foreign. They just show this dude's private parts as part of the... What the heck? Surely this was not shown in the US, right? It seems to be more focused on a central cast of maybe 3 characters rather than a bunch of them. Like, did that bird just swallow a Dragon Ball? I like that kind of style, showing them one at a time in the comic book. Interesting. Huh. Okay, I have literally 0 recognition or memory of that opening. Not to say that it was bad. I definitely still prefer the Dragon Ball Z openings. I get the sense a lot of people might feel that way. I think it was really only those 3 main people that we saw throughout the whole thing. And I wasn't sure if 2 of them had been in any of the other openings. You know what this feels like? This feels like a side quest or maybe even like a DLC in a video game. Like, it doesn't really feel like part of the main story of Dragon Ball, but it's kind of an offshoot maybe of Dragon Ball Z. I don't know. It's interesting. Watching the opening, I cannot see how they thought, they being the creators, thought this one was going to succeed more than Dragon Ball Z. It just didn't, like, feel the same way. And this is coming from me, someone who's never really seen any Dragon Ball. The Dragon Ball Z openings were way more enticing, I thought, than this GT one. Again, not that it was not good, but I liked the Dragon Ball Z one the most out of any of them we've seen so far. This went off air in 1999, and then Dragon Ball did not come back until Dragon Ball Kai in 2009. So what is that, like over 10 years of waiting for the next Dragon Ball show? To the point where maybe they didn't even plan on doing another Dragon Ball show. So this next one we're going to watch is Dragon Ball Kai, and we'll see what this one is all about. Oh yeah, immediately, like, you can just tell how much newer it is. Look at this. Okay, back to the green dragon. Dragon. So, see, this feels a lot more familiar. Oh, Dragon Ball Z Kai. Interesting. I wonder what the Kai piece of it actually indicates. Maybe this is like an offshoot of Dragon Ball Z? But it feels really similar so far. The characters, at least. I wish I had a better understanding of how Dragon Balls actually worked. Like, is it something they obtain and possess, or is it something that, like, feeds their power? Oh. So that's, I assume that's what we would refer to as going Super Saiyan, right? Huge tone shift from the GT opening that we watched before that one. That honestly just felt like an extension of the original Dragon Ball Z. I'm curious as well how this one relates to the original Dragon Ball Z show, because it really felt like the same cast of characters. I enjoyed the song a lot. The animation, of course, maybe I'm biased because it's newer. You know, this one only coming out, what, like 12, 13 years ago at this point. But just done in a way that felt more eye-grasping and enticing to the viewer. And yeah, I loved that one a lot. I would say, actually, I think I liked that one as my second favorite so far. I think the original DBZ opening, because it's the only one I've had like a very minor amount of familiarity with, I think that one is still my favorite. But this, I think, was my second favorite so far. I liked it a lot. And then I think we do have one more Dragon Ball Z Kai opening. And I believe this was for what they referred to as the final chapters. So I think Kai originally ran for about 2 years from 2009 to 2011. And then it came back in April of 2014 for a little over a year for the final 61 episodes of this show. So this opening we're about to watch was specifically for those 61 episodes. Wait. I feel like they're more color coordinated in this one. Ooh. This is bringing back all kinds of memories too, because I had a buddy in elementary school who loved Dragon Ball Z. Well, they both went Super Saiyan. I hope that's the correct terminology. And I feel like a lot of my Dragon Ball info was secondhand information from him, my buddy. Whoa, his hair's really long. Is this like Super Saiyan? Kamehameha. That was another thing I remember, yeah. I like this one a lot. That was great. Wait, look how many of them had the blonde hair. Ooh, okay, that one was great too. I think I actually liked that one better than the other DBZ Kai opening. The first DBZ opening is going to be really hard to beat, but this one I would almost put right there neck and neck. The final chapter's DBZ Kai opening is like 1B for me, right behind the original DBZ opening, which would be 1A. And then much like how with the original 3 shows, Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball GT, how they all kind of stacked next to each other in terms of release dates. After Dragon Ball Kai, Dragon Ball Super came out, which stacked on like immediately on top of the final release date for Dragon Ball Kai. Dragon Ball Super is one that I know I am familiar with the name, but I don't think I will have seen or be familiar with the openings themselves, or perhaps even some of the characters in here. So let's not waste any more time. Dragon Ball Super openings. Here we go. I think there's 2 of them, actually. So this would be the first of the 2. Wait, are there... What are the differences in the amount of stars on the Dragon Balls? This feels more lighthearted than the DBZ Kai openings. It's almost like all the characters doing real world things. Well, maybe not anymore. Wait. Is the purple cat looking thing in the other DBZ shows? Or just Dragon Ball Super? Because I definitely recognize that character. Is there some level beyond Super Saiyan? I think that's a question I've always had. See, this feels almost like more of an origin story type thing. There's the master guy again in the bottom left. That was pretty good. I am a little confused at what point it takes place during the timeline, but I felt like it was more kind of like a family show, if that makes sense. Not that the other ones aren't, but almost like it was focusing on different aspects of the characters rather than going after like this overarching huge mission, if that makes sense. Probably I'm way off there, but that's just kind of how I perceived it to be. I would probably rank it below both the DBZ Kai openings and, I mean, definitely below the original DBZ opening. I think I did still like it more than the GT opening, though. So Dragon Ball Super is kind of like, it feels like it's in that mid tier for me right now in terms of my personal feelings about how I liked the openings. And here's the second DBZ Super opening. So let's hop into this one as well. Oh, shoot. Oh, bro. Okay. Look at how fast they're fighting. See, that is what I think of when I think of Dragon Ball, is like these really fast fights, you know. Uh-huh, 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 uh-huh. Ooh, that's cool. Visually, this I like this a lot so far. The master finally took his glasses off. Well, that wolf character looked dope. Oh, his hair's blue. I think I've seen pictures of this, but obviously I don't understand the difference between like blonde and blue hair when he goes Super Saiyan. That was great. I love the ending as well. That one was surprisingly good. I think after I watched the first DBZ Super opening, that the second one was probably going to be like a tier step down. But I think I actually liked it probably just as much as those DBZ Kai openings, actually. Something I like with openings is when I get kind of a scope of the cast of characters that are going to be contained within that show or that season of the show. And I think that's something that the second Super opening did a little bit better. And then, of course, the fight scene at the beginning where they were like punching real fast, I thought that was awesome. And then the blue hair, I just think it looks cool. There's probably some significance behind that in the show. Obviously, I don't know what that is, but I thought that was a pretty cool inclusion in this opening too. And then last but not least, this is one that maybe some people haven't been exposed to because it's a web series. I think this is still currently releasing new episodes as of like May 2023, the time of this recording. And this originally debuted in 2018. So we'll check it out and see what it's all about. Super Dragon Ball Heroes. Ooh. I will say, I feel like the more modern a show is, the less likely it is to miss on the song. Some of the songs go so hard in recent anime. Who's that? Okay, we got the blue hair again in this one. They got the English translations on the bottom here, too. Oh, no, that was just that one part. We're in a mask there. Okay, new villain in this show, maybe? Kamehameha! Was that the end? I think that one probably surprised me more than any of the other openings. I love the song. Arguably my favorite song of any of the openings we saw today. That might be controversial, but I think just musically, I think this one might have been my favorite. Having said that, if I were to rank all of today's openings side by side, maybe just by their show, even for the shows that had multiple openings, I would probably go Dragon Ball Z, and then Dragon Ball Z Kai. Oh man, it's tough after that. Maybe Dragon Ball Super, and then Super Dragon Ball Heroes, and the original Dragon Ball near each other. Maybe that's controversial because I don't know how many people love the original Dragon Ball. It doesn't feel like something that's still incredibly popular, even though it started it all off. Maybe I'm really wrong on that point. Let me know if I am. And then GT was the one that I was like, man, I'm not feeling this one. So I would probably put GT at the bottom of my list. Ultimately, I can totally see why Dragon Ball has this massive fan base that it has, I think outside of appealing to a whole generation of kids that watch this growing up with the awesome fight scenes and everything like that, outside of that, it feels like a journey that Goku, I believe is his name, goes on over the course of time and has to almost like learn these things along the way in order to become more powerful, to defeat the enemy or the villain within the universe. All that to say, I totally get why people love this. One of my biggest, I think, regrets with anime in general is that I didn't watch Dragon Ball Z growing up, because I know I would love this if I did and if this was a show that I watched. Having said that, if you had to recommend one of these Dragon Ball shows to me, whether it's Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, maybe it's the original Dragon Ball, which one should I watch? Let me know down in the comments down below. Or maybe I should even watch all of them. That's an option too. As another reminder, I'm currently watching One Piece and Vinland Saga over on my Patreon. The link for that will be down in the description. And who knows, I might even watch some Dragon Ball over there. Thank you so much to each and every single one of you as we approach 3,000 subscribers. It's been so great to meet so many of you and interact down in the comments down below. Keep your amazing anime recommendations coming. I really appreciate the support. And go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you're not already for more anime reaction videos coming very soon. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Thanks so much for watching this one, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.